Namaste. My name is Todd Norian, and I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga. Great to be with you tonight. This is the fourth webinar in a series of webinars where I get to talk about the incredible program called the Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training that's coming up starting January 13th. I'll give some more information about how to register for this course at the end of the talk. In some of the previous sessions, I spoke about how to deepen your practice by learning how to teach, and why leadership is a spiritual practice, and then why wait for transformation, do it now, and then you get the benefit of the commitment where then the universe comes in and supports you. The transformation begins right after you commit. And today I want to talk about the power of community and how when you practice in a group that the practice is exponentially more powerful. So in Sanskrit, the word for community is kula, K-U-L-A, and kula really means family or family of the heart, community of the heart. And it talks about how in the Tantra we're always in a constant state of relationship. So the kula is sort of like a group or community. So we could think of it in terms of the body. So we have communities of cells that form organs, so they function together. When they're in harmony, then the organs are healthy. When they're out of harmony, of course, we get disease or dis-at-ease. And a lot of that is just the communication that happens. So physically in the body, it's through the hormonal system, which is the brain's communicators. But, in relationship, generally, it's our words that do the communication. And then the organs form together, work together to form a system. The systems form together to create a whole body. And then on the macrocosmic level, we have the sun that has the planets that orbit around it in our solar system. And then that's part of the greater cosmic universe, which is comprised of many solar systems. So we have the macrocosm, we have the microcosm. So I love this idea of community because we never just practice for ourselves. The practice is known to affect everybody in your bloodline that goes back many, many generations. And I think of when I practice that I'm not only doing it to transform my own heart, but I do it to bring a vibration of peace, to bring a vibration of light that then affects everybody else. Whatever you are feeling inside has a vibratory tone to it. And certainly we've heard the phrase, misery loves company. And I guess that can feel pretty good when you can commiserate together. I don't know that it's helpful, but it does make us feel a little bit better. But the real reality is that when you're miserable, then you make everybody else miserable around you. But when you're at peace, when you're centered, when you're feeling whole, when you're feeling happy, then you have the potential to make everybody else happier around you. And that's really the power of the practice, that it involves community. There are 3 levels of community, 3 levels of kula, we could say, in the tantric tradition. And it's really just a set of relationships, like how the level that we're related to each other. So it starts with, I am nothing like you. So we're completely different people. We have different interests, different hobbies. We come from different families. So I'm nothing like you. But then the next level is, I am something like you. We all breathe the same air. We're all made of the 5 elements. We have some things in common. Obviously, we have the 5 senses, and we go through a full range of human emotions, not exactly the same, but they're somewhat the same. And then at the ultimate level, I'm nothing but you. So, I'm nothing like you, I'm something like you, I'm nothing but you. And that recognizes the sense of oneness, that there's a unity consciousness where in my spirit and in my heart, we are one together. When I'm in my heart, you're in your heart, we are one. And that's the recognition that we're all interwoven. And we know that's true because science has already discovered that, a butterfly flaps its wings in, Japan, and it creates a hurricane over here somewhere in the US. There's these relationships that we're in a vortex of a series of complex relationships of which we are weaving ourselves together. And that is really the definition of Tantra, which means to weave. It's like a loom. And when we're feeling good inside, it's usually because we're weaving ourselves well in the world. The question, or the inquiry, is how are you weaving yourself in the world? How are you weaving yourself in your relationships? And that really makes a big difference. So kula is this idea that we are part of a community. So you become the company you keep, so keep good company. And we've all heard that one. And then we've heard company is stronger than willpower. So when you bring yourself together with other great beings, that's going to happen in this Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training that starts on January 13th. You will be surrounding yourself not only with great beings and other heart followers and seekers of the truth and seekers of love in this group, but you'll be surrounding yourself with the highest, deepest esoteric teachings of the Tantra in yoga. And it really is such an environment of transformation. It creates like a vortex, a field. And what's so great is that throughout the course, we do these breakout rooms and you get to meet other people. You get to share what your intention is, and you get to share in the joys of the training and also the transformation that happens, as well as sometimes when blocks come up or challenges come up. You know, in the Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training, we do a lot of what I call shadow work. And it's basically just to reflect on where are you stuck in your feelings, and where are you flowing in life, and what is this related to? We go and take a look back when we made our deepest identities, which is in childhood from the ages of 1 to 6, that if we didn't get the love that we needed and deserved, often we form these core wounded identities around that. So myself, for instance, even though I grew up in a loving family, my perception of that at that time, whether it was from teachers criticizing me or from my family criticizing me or society, you know, we're surrounded by so many different energies that I grew up with a feeling of shame, which resulted in me just feeling unworthy all the time, not enough. Well, I'm, hopefully recovered from that more or less. But the idea is that we can't avoid these core wounded identities. The practices themselves, the mantra practice, the meditation, the deep work that we do, and then the community creates a holding space for you to get in touch with what happened during that time and what were some of the core wounds that you identified with then, and what can you do about that now. And so to do this kind of work, it's so deep, it's so intense, we need to have a non-judgmental environment. And that really is what I create in this context of the group. Even online, the whole course is online. And I was skeptical. I didn't think it could work, but I did the whole course online last year. The results were phenomenal. People felt really close to each other. And it happens through sharing, and it happens through learning how to follow your heart, how to live from your heart, then also how to teach from your heart to the hearts of others in the classroom. And by absorbing ourselves and practicing the teachings of this tradition, there are some other traditions that we study as well as part of the history that leads up to the evolution of consciousness in Tantra, that we're able to actually express ourselves with much more kindness. A big part of the heart virtue in developing ourselves in community is the practice of acceptance. It is so valuable to release the notions of perfectionism and the high expectations and high standards that we can't even meet ourselves. It's a perfect setup for feeling not enough. So we set these really high standards that it's impossible to achieve them, so we fail, which then proves the point that I'm lacking something. So that's just one of the scenarios that we'll be able to go into, dive deeply into, and then start to unravel the knots of the heart such that we experience our universal self. We experience the joy and the bliss and even the adventure and the rapture of what it means to be fully alive. So one of the deepest spiritual teachings of community and kula is that kula is keeping the company of the universal within your individual self. The company of the immortal in the mortal. And this is such a paradoxical situation because here we are as humans, we are limited, and yet we come from the vastness of the sky with no boundaries at all. So how do we reconcile this sense of being small, being limited, being separate, sometimes having a mind that's filled with doubt? And how do we work with that while we open to the bigger energy? There's a bigger, greater part of us that includes these limitations as part of the expression of the vast infinite form of being. And when we do the depth of meditation practices and the asana practice and get more and more in alignment with the universe through integrating the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, through the 4 essentials of Ashaya, which is open, engage, align, and expand, we start to open and broaden our perspective. We start to get these little glimpses. The heart cracks open. We start to recognize. We start to perceive. We remember who we truly are. And that is our true nature, which is joy. And to be able to live life, especially today, with all the stress that's going on, all the uncertainty, to come back to our center, to be centered in the storm, to be the calm in the chaos, where we can vibrate with this energy of happiness and joy that goes all the way deep into the core of the self. That is our true potential. That is my mission, and that is my goal in offering Ashaya Yoga, the Ashaya Path, teacher and leadership training, to help us come back to that state and to access source consciousness more and more of the time. And in source consciousness, it really helps us embrace our individual unique gifts. So a big part of the training is to discover, what is your gift? There's no one that has a smile like you. How to really sort of be in the fullness, to utilize the gifts that we've been given. And what I found is that when you discover your purpose and what your gift is, and you start moving in the direction of your gift, joy is what follows. When you do what you love, the joy follows. And what's really cool about the teacher training, that you can take it and go for certification, that you can become a professional yoga teacher. And people do it. And then they have this sideline, or they make something bigger of it, and they can live on that professionally. It's really quite a wonderful journey. And the beauty of something like becoming a yoga teacher is that what it is that you are trained in, and what you practice and what you give to other people, is exactly what transforms you. So it's this beautiful circle. To be able to give like that, we're actually receiving. And I've been so blessed to be able to teach yoga pretty much my whole life. And I love what I do. It lights me up, because in the process of preparing for a class and even delivering the class, I have to remember the teachings myself. So it's always a great reminder. And my students are the best teachers for me. My students are my teachers because they give me feedback. They reflect back in their own innocent and natural way, where I get to grow. And maybe the last thing I'll say about community is it can be so helpful to develop these deep friendships such that you have people that can stand with you, by your side, strong, and who believe in you. Because there's times when we lose our confidence and maybe we don't believe in ourselves that much. And then to be surrounded by friends who believe in us more than we believe in ourselves is a huge gift. So that's what you're going to experience when you take the Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training. It's 6 months, starts January 13th. There's still time to register. It's all online. You get individual mentoring, so I have a whole team of mentors that come in to work with us. And there's a lot of different sort of tracks that you can take depending on your commitment level. Ashaya Deepening is the first 38 hours, which is the first 3 weekend modules. The weekends are every other week. You could just sign up for Ashaya Deepening. And then if you like it, then you could decide to continue. And you go on to the teacher training part, which is called Ashaya Awakening, which includes deepening. So the Awakening course is the entire course from beginning to end. But the first 3 modules are where we just focus on the method, the philosophy, and leadership skills. And that can be very helpful for people that aren't interested in teaching. But then what's really cool, and this happened last year too, is that there are some people that either don't want to teach, or they've been through the course before, they don't need to go through the mentoring process. They are on the student track, and they take the entire training in the role of student. What you get with that is all the morning meditation practices, all the tantric teachings. You become a strong part of the community, but in the student role, and you're able to support the other students there who are wanting to go for certification. And it's really a beautiful process where we uplift each other. I'd say it's pretty unusual today that we can have a group like this, colleagues, who instead of being competitive are into being collaborators. And that's really a great shift. That's what's meant by kula, community of the heart, family of the heart, where we stand with and by each other. We stand for each other. And in that way, we grow stronger. And I always like to say, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. So thank you so much for your time joining me here. So go to ashayayoga.com to learn more about the Ashaya Path Teacher and Leadership Training. And I'm going to do one more introduction after this on January 6th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. For those who have specific questions about the program, it's a Q&A time, and I will be there to answer your questions and share a little bit more about the benefits of this course. And at any time, just email me at info@ashayayoga.com if you have questions. And everything is posted on the website. You get a glimpse at the curriculum. Actually, there's a little booklet that you get when you register, and it gives you a lot more details. So I hope to see you there. In the meantime, happy holidays to everyone, and savor the light, because we're moving into the shortest day of the year, the longest night. So keep the light bright in your heart, even during this dark time. Namaste. Thank you.